So I'm happy to be here.
Awesome, awesome, gentlemen. And Linval, as you said, we've been here before, and so we've been able to have the conversation about savings. We've talked a lot about getting your emergency fund going. We've talked a lot about saving for different situations that will happen, and you actually have a savings program going, which we're going to talk about later. But after all that savings, we can't save ourselves into wealth. So we need to do something else, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. What are we talking about?
Well, what typically happens when I do presentations and I talk about money?
We're still working out a few kinks in the studio, and I'm hearing we're gonna switch my mic.
No.
Okay, switching for Linval. There you go. We're playing musical mics,
Okay.
and this
all
mic
right.
goes over there. We're gonna bring this one over here into the center,
Fantastic.
Okay.
and this should have us. For those of you who are listening live on radio, Praise 87.9 FM. We're gonna open the phones. Dwayne's gonna jump in and tell us what the numbers are. 945-9039. Again, 945-9029. 945-9029. You can call in, ask your questions, because I know that this one is the one that you've been waiting for. You've been waiting for, okay, after we save, how do we save? How do we get to that place where we're actually starting to build wealth? And Julian, you're the expert here. You are the financial guru when it comes to investing, and they're looking for you. Can they invest $50? Can they invest $500? So we're going to talk about all the things that they need to have in place before they come to you. After they've gotten through the savings, they've spent some time with Linval, they've learned some money discipline, right? And now, how do we now start building wealth? Because if you're looking at Dwayne's back, we can't build without the wealth building. We don't get to the security, the level of. I don't know if you can see the mouse that Linval has right there, right? You don't
Quality stuff here. Quality stuff we've got going on.
You don't get to move that from just being a mouse on your desk to being something parked out in the driveway without the discipline, without the work. All right, so Dwayne's still working out the bug. So while he's doing that, we're gonna make sure that you can hear us. So just give me some background on you, gentlemen. What got you into banking and what got you into financial advising?
Go first, Julian.
Okay, I'll start off first. So, like I said, my name's Julian. I've been a financial advisor now for over 10 years. And to be honest, I didn't want to always start on this path, surprising enough. But prior to that, I used to be in fashion. I used to be in real estate. And ladies and gentlemen, like many of you out there, I was very, very bad with money. You know, we've all been there where you're working, you get money coming in. It comes to the end, or maybe even not the end of the month, and you think, where has my money gone? I'm sure, gentlemen, you've experienced that.
Oh, yeah.
More month than check, right?
Exactly. And what got me into it is I came to realize that I'm lacking a skill set in understanding money and what to do with it. And that led me on this financial journey. I was like, the best way to do it is to join the experts, is to learn it from the inside out. I don't only just see myself as a financial advisor, which is my role. That's what I have to say to you all out there. But I like helping people and find like being a financial coach, which is why being here with you, Rob and Linval, is very important, because I'm sure like many of you out there, you know, you want to do things, just don't know how to do it. And for me, it was jumping into the industry that led me on this fantastic journey.
And I appreciate you saying that. And already, some of you are already inspired, because you're hearing that you were horrible with money, and now you're actually advising persons. So that means for wherever you are, you're able to move from there, where you may be horrible with money right now. You may be just, getting money in, spending it, or maybe you're not even getting enough. But you can get to the place where you can not only be good with it, you're so good that you're able to help others to grow theirs as well. Appreciate the story, Julian. And Linval.
Well, I've been a career banker. In fact, it's been my only job.
So you weren't in fashion.
I didn't go to fashion.
But there's something people don't know about you. You are an accomplished musician.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes. That was back in high school. I went to a high school that taught music, and we're able to go. In fact, every summer I'd be at Purdue University pursuing the music part of my life. It was very interesting, very exciting. I got to tour the entire U.S.
Fantastic.
over this time. Yeah.
Through music.
Through music, yeah.
But you've been a banker.
Yes. So I've been a banker. I've progressed through. I've literally came up through the bowels of banking. I've literally gone through from a teller to where I'm at today. So it has been a path, it has been a journey, and it has actually brought me here. And like Julian, we all didn't start here. We started somewhere that, looking back now, we'd be very ashamed of, because I would consider myself the purest of YOLOists, right? I live for today, right? Obviously, that doesn't go very well after.
If you want to.
If you really want to progress financially and even progress in life, you living for today just doesn't quite get you there, right?
All right. So you've been able to shift. You've been able to shift bad money habits. You've been able to shift from your YOLOist mentality to being able to build wealth. Okay. All right. So let's give back some background, because we're saving to invest. So you want to just recap and help persons to figure out, all right, what do they need to be thinking about before we get to the investment part?
All right. So typically what happens when I do presentations and talk about savings and how you build your foundation, the next question that inevitably comes is, how do I invest? And I'm saying, well, slow down. It's not quite as easy as that. That's like asking me for the keys to the helicopter to go flying without teaching anything. So it's also a process, something that you have to learn.
Dwayne is giving us a signal.
Bring the mic a little closer.
There we go.
Yeah, it's something that you
Yes.
actually have to learn, right? And it comes with skills, but like gravity, it's consistent. And if you do it the right way, you will see the progress, and you can move from point A to point B, right? And that's pretty much what we'll talk more about tonight as to how you do it. And essentially, like everything else, there has to be a starting point.
Yes.
And the starting point is that you have to set some goals. You don't just dive into investing. You have to set some goals to get you started.
All right. So certainly setting the goal of savings, and I'm coming to you, Julian. What's the goal that someone should have in mind before they come to you? I mean, I have $50. I've just been able to get on Linval's program. I've saved $100. Is that when I come see you?
Well, not particularly. I mean, we can help everyone with anything. And I always say, listen, just like most people, we all have different journeys. We're all going on different journeys. But what Linval said is very, very important. Setting goals is a big thing, because when you set goals, you establish the why. All right? You always need to have a why am I doing this? Why do we go to work, guys? Why are we doing the things we do? There's usually a big reason why you're doing it. It's usually for your family, for yourself, for your children. So the why is very important to establish. So, you know, I try and get away from the whole you need to have X amount, because that's how we've been conditioned to grow and learn. And Linval, we were having a conversation the other day, mentioned it very well. It's all about a mindset. You know, saving and investing, you have to have a mindset to get to it.
Okay. All right. So what's the mindset? What is the thing that you're looking for that says, okay, fine, I'm ready? It's not the number. So it's not getting to the $10,000 before I can start investing. It's not even getting to $100,000. What's the mindset? Where do you try to get persons to be so that you can help them to get to the next step?
Well, so an individual, let us say you're employed, you've started working, you've started earning a decent salary, doesn't matter, any salary actually, right?
Okay.
And you've started earning, and therefore you should now start thinking about, how do I distribute my income? Typically what we do, or what we've been trained to do, is once we get paid, we just give it all away within a couple of days, right?
Yes.
And that's how we have been brought up. Remember, as kids, you got money from your aunts, your uncles, the first thing you're going to do?
Spend
Go buy
it.
something,
That's
right?
right.
Go to the sweet shop.
And so we have been conditioned like that, and that has actually followed us throughout, a lot of us through our entire lifetime. And with that kind of habit and that mindset, you just never really progress beyond paycheck to paycheck. So,
Yes.
right.
So you've talked about the ratio.
Well, the ratios now. So this is really what separates the average from the persons who actually progress. For every dollar that you earn, there's a certain way that you should try to allocate it, right? Now, the foundation, as we would say, or the benchmark, is that you should never spend more than 70% of what you earn. Never.
So even if you're just earning $1,000, you should never spend more than 70%
In fact,
percent of what
if
it
you're
is.
just earning $1,000, they assume that you're still in your parents' house, so therefore you should be saving.
You should be saving a lot more.
You shouldn't be spending it all, right? So you should spend more than 70% of what you earn. Now, there are some of us, or some among us, who we earn 1,000 and we spend 1,500. So we blow right past what we earn into borrowing, which takes us into a whole different realm, right? Again, that's something, mindset and habit, something we have to think about as well.
And working through the discipline so we're not living beyond our means.
That's right. Most persons will not agree with you when you say you're living beyond your means, by the way. But yes, that's really what it is. You're actually living beyond your means. So you have to understand that, right? So you should never spend more than 70% of what you earn. The next 30% you allocate it very carefully as well. You should always invest 10% to savings, 10% to investing, and 10%, as we all know, we have friends, we have family, we have people, we're always better than somebody else. You give it away. It's your charity. Church, your friend, whatever it is for you.
Your tithe, whatever it is, making sure that you're giving back.
Yes. So what it is.
So it's interesting that you say that, and I mean, you're approaching this from a secular perspective, and here it comes right back to, it doesn't matter whether you're in the church or not. You should be setting your mind to, you need to be returning at least 10% to giving back to.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. Right? And so what we call that is the 70-10-10-10 concept. And I guarantee you, if you adopt that concept now, and if you're in your 20s, even better, if you adopt that now, you will never die poor. Guaranteed.
At least poor of money.
Financially poor.
Financially poor. Okay, so you have a firm financial foundation. We've looked at the mindset. We're all looking at the discipline to getting you to the place where understanding that, yes, if you are spending more than you're earning, you're living beyond your means. I want to bring that into check. All right. So
I have a question.
Go ahead, do it.
When do you start using money from that 10-10?
All right. So
from the savings and from the investment.
Yes.
So the saving, in fact, the investing is not quite what you think it is. I probably should explain that a little more. The saving is you're saving to invest, and saving to invest is what we call investing. So in other words, the mutual funds, the stocks, that's what you save to invest in. The investment I'm actually talking about is investing into your own business. Okay. Right? Because if you check in the US, 90% of millionaires come from small businesses that build over time. So invest in that endeavor that side hustle that you have always wanted. That's what you save that for, and therefore you can use that. Usually, what happens? A lot of persons say, "I would love to start a business. Where do I get the money from?"
Yes,
save it.
Save it. Yeah.
That's an interesting thought, and I'm glad you unpacked that, because it sounds okay on the surface. Say we're just putting it someplace, and then investing, we're gonna, do something fancy. But what you're saying is essentially the 10% that you're saving, that's going to be investing, and that is external investment.
Right.
But then the other part, savings, that's an internal investment. So whether you have a side business or even personal development that helps you to increase what you're able to earn, that's what we're looking to put that money aside for. So does that include going back to school? Does that include reading, learning? How do you unpack that?
Your reading and learning is in your 70%.
Gotcha. So what is that investing in yourself and investing in your business? How do you break that down? Tease that apart. Because I'm a banker. Maybe I don't have a side hustle yet. Are you telling me to get a side hustle, or does this also include getting a promotion at my job?
No, a side hustle.
Got you.
Remember, your employer is not your friend, people.
No.
Remember COVID? Your employer is not your friend, right?
Yeah.
You should always try to. In fact, what it does, what the 10% investing does, it gives you an alternative income. So you're not stuck on one source of income. And that's the other thing.
And that's important for us to underscore, double underline, and put an exclamation beside it. Whatever your situation is, invest in a side hustle. Yes. Something that gives you an additional income stream that helps you to weather the storms that will come.
Yes.
I like to always call it pay yourself first. I know this is a concept we've all heard, right? But when you think of money and how we deal with money for day to day, you get paid on the first, your rent goes out on the first, you're paying other people before you pay yourself. This is a crazy concept.
And you worked.
You did all the work and you're paying everybody else.
You've put money in. And I completely agree with what Linval said. You know, you have to have an intentionality with your money. And I think that's one thing that's lacking. I usually, when I speak to my clients, I like to call it the tree of money, just like the tree of life. You've got to have short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals. If you're not sitting down, if you are married, sit down with your spouse. You need to go through this. It will save you a whole lot of problems
Headache.
within your marriage. If you're single, you know, you need to be intentional with your money if it's something that you want to go long term. And then, and just as Linval said, you know, you need to make sure you're putting 10% at least to yourself first. If you don't have that much money, start with as little as you can, even if it's $10 every month, $20. Put that aside. Get into the mindset. Again, we talked about mindset. Get into the mindset of paying yourself first. You know, because once you do that, it helps you to grow and build the mindset of wealth. Wealth is a mindset, really.
Absolutely.
More than anything else.
And I like that, and I'm hoping that you're listening and we're taking that on, because even as simple as before we get to the big money to invest externally, whether it is to use that 10% to buy some lollipops, buy some ice cream and sell it on the side, you're already getting in the mindset of expanding your income streams and teaching yourself the discipline of being able to manage a business, manage some external finances.
In fact, let me tell you a story about a 9-year-old kid here at John Gray High School. He goes to the supermarket every weekend with his mom and he buys snacks. He never eats them. He takes it to school and he sells it. Now, that kid that's selling every week has built up savings in excess of $5,000.
Wow.
And on his own, he was asking his mom, how do I get a vending machine? Right?
That's incredible.
That's how you start your side hustles.
So this kid, 9 years old, he's been able to build up his reserves of $5,000. You gave a statistic last time.
All by
How
himself.
many people have savings more than $1,000?
Actually, that's a crazy statistic. Actually, it's 10,000. Only 13% of working adults have a savings of more than $10,000 right now. You can do an audit, right? Yes.
But also for those who have more than $1,000 too, because that's a big number.
Right.
Because most people are living paycheck to paycheck, so they don't have $1,000 in
Right.
reserve. And this 9-year-old kid, by selling
Snacks. Literally,
has been able to build up $5,000, and he's looking to expand his business.
Because intuitively he understands it. You buy 10, let's say you buy 10 lollipops this week and you sell it and you make some. You buy 12 lollipops next week and then you buy 50 the next week. And that's how it grows.
And interestingly, because I'm imagining lollipops don't sell for $1,000.
Right.
So it is that what you said earlier about those small
One coke.
one cocoa doing those small gains, the consistency over time of just being able to keep at this thing.
Yes.
And of course, make sure that you're paying it yourself, because I guess he could be doing this, but then he could be at Kamana Bay just watching movies and doing a whole thing. But he's also developed the discipline
Because
of putting that aside.
In a business, there are seasons. So
Yes.
I mean, I guess he was born for it, but not really. But what he's doing, he's in what I call the planting season.
Yes.
So he's building up his reserves. So then he can spend the way he wants to spend later.
Wow.
Because he has been reinvesting all his profits every time
Yes.
now and not spending it yet. And that's how you really move to the next level.
All right, talk to this young man, Julian. He's built up $5,000 in reserves. I know we didn't talk about the numbers, but we can clearly see that he's developed the habits.
Yes.
He's developing some good money habits. And also, by coming back to expanding to a vending machine, he has a solid mindset for expansion. So how would you advise him?
Well, I'm glad you've asked that. And, you know, obviously with someone like that, you can see this is someone who's managed to get to a stage where they're building capital. For every single human being out there are two stages or two types of investing styles. It's not rocket science. You're either building capital for a reason, and then once you have that capital, you want that capital to earn you an income. You know, I'm going to make it simple by discussing what we all do everywhere in the world. What is always our plan? I want to buy a property. Why do you want to buy a property, you ask? Usually to live in it yourself. With the common trend these days with Airbnb and all of this is, I want to buy a property to earn an income so that I can retire and relax. So you're either going to be in two stages. You're either going to be in a stage where you're trying to build capital, and that's the first stage.
Yes.
You know, a lot of people would say, I'll sit down with a lot of clients. I'm like, if I had a magic wand today, what would you ask for? I want $1 million. Right. Okay. Well, you have to build that. You know, unfortunately, as much as the Lord,
We love to
the
go
Lord-
outside and pick from the tree of money.
Exactly. You know, the Lord gives us a lot of gifts, but one of the main gifts He gives us is making us work for what we have to earn,
Yes.
which
Got
is to build us really. So in that case, if someone had 5,000, so if you're out there, you've got 10,000, you're either going to be in a stage where you want to build that capital, or you want to earn an income from that capital.
Okay.
And that's when you start looking at investing. This is when the investing side happens, because you've saved. Now you need to invest. Now you need to make your money work for you. But again, I want to come back to the why, because I think that gets lost in translation.
Okay.
Personally, and with a lot of clients and individuals I've sat down with when I've coached finances and things like that, people will give up on doing what they want to do because they don't have a strong reason for doing it. You know, a lot of people sit down and say, I want to make 10,000. Why do you want to make 10,000? Because like most of things in life, it's difficult. You know, you start saving today, tomorrow, after 3 months you'll be like, you know what,
This is kind of hard.
it's kind of hard, and I've got this emergency, I've got this wedding to attend to, I want to go on holiday. You have to pay yourself first and develop a strong why, because once you do that, then it makes it easier. It becomes a mindset where you're thinking, yes, I want to go on holiday. Maybe I need to get that side hustle together so that I have some extra money for holiday, rather than use the money you would save to go on holiday.
Gotcha.
And this is a place where we fall down a lot. It's a human nature thing. You know, we fall down a lot when it comes to this.
Right. In fact, you made a good point. You alluded to it. You don't save to spend. You actually save to invest. Right. Persons will save for Christmas and then they blow it all at Christmas. Right. What's the point?
And that's an interesting one, because and it connects to Dwayne's question. It kind of feels counterintuitive for many people. They say, okay, I mean, we have locally, you run a partner so that you can take care of a major expense or do something, but you're saying don't do that. We're saying when you put that money together, what you need, the next step is to take that money and put it to work.
And even if you want to spend some, it's okay. You can always spend some, but at least apply the 70-10-10-10 rule, right? So save 10%, invest 10, give away 10.
Got you. So when you put the money to work, sure, you can give yourself a little reward, take some, spend it, but you want to make sure that after you've built that number, you want to put it to work so that it can multiply your income streams.
And I'll speak on behalf of the YOLOists. We
Yes.
want to reward ourselves because the bus may knock us down, so we have to reward
And someone else is
ourselves.
going to wear those new shoes or spend that $10,000
So
you've been saving.
You reward yourself along the way,
Okay.
Yes.
but you do it with a plan.
Yes.
And
Okay.
that's really what it is, right?
Which comes back to what you're saying, just making sure that you're having that goal, making sure that the mindset that you have is taking you to the next step, because when you've gotten here, this is not the end.
No.
Right.
This is not the end. So when you get here, the goal is to get to the next place, so your why.
Exactly. And I always say, you know, you need to know where you are today, where you want to be tomorrow, and then sit down with the financial coach, or AKA me, to then create a roadmap of how to get there. You know, if you're going on holiday, you don't just go there, do you? You're like, okay, I need to stop at Miami, I need to then do this, and you know, there's always a roadmap. The same comes to your finances. You know, so once you establish your why, okay, I want to buy a house, I want my children to have this level of education. You know, it's always important to sit down and go, okay, where are we now? We're here. I'm going to need 40,000, especially if you're looking at an education plan, because that's how much you're looking at. You know, if you've got a child who's 10 years old, in 8 years' time, you're going to need
Money.
is
right there.
knocking his head. You know, you are going to need an excess of 30,000 on an annual basis alone. And this is probably just looking at tuition, not to include traveling costs and things like that.
30,000 won't do it. I'm knocking my head because I'm right there now. So my son now is going off to college. you think it's tuition, right? He's asking for a car. Just so
Exactly.
you know.
Exactly.
Which comes with
Right,
also
it's not
comes
bad.
With its own
With all-
expenses.
Exactly.
Because it doesn't run on air.
Right.
Exactly. But this comes back to the mindset and having the why. If you know that's what you have to do, you are going to save every month.
Got you.
know, and it becomes something that you'll be like, okay, do I spend money? Going out for dinner. You need to then have that budgeting within your finances to make sure that that's happening.
And I like that. Giving your why a real face, so Linval knows, hey, my son is going off to, and he's gonna want these things. So it's going to be a little bit hard for him. Well, I kind of spent the money on a new Jag or a new this
Yes.
when that thing comes. So making sure that your why has a real face,
Yes.
that helps to keep you accountable.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me just give out the numbers.
Yes.
Again, 945-9029. 94. And let me just tell you something, right? There are many persons who I encounter on the road on a daily that listen to this program.
Yes.
And they really like what's going on. They don't call. I don't know why they don't call. I think you intimidate them. But the number is 945-9029. That's 945-9029. I'm so intrigued by the final 10%. Because you spoke of it just from a pure financial principle. And for me, I grew up learning that 10% from a religious principle.
Yes.
Yes.
And the two are meeting perfectly.
And the two are meeting perfectly.
Yes.
And then I understand why persons who don't go to church prosper. Who adhere to this third 10%. So anybody who don't adhere to this, follow this 70, 10, 10, 10, whatever principle, is probably out for bankruptcy.
Well,
Financial ruin.
you can't live for yourself, right?
Yes.
And you have to understand the law of reciprocity, right? The more you give away, exactly the more you get.
That is biblical as well.
I know it took me so long to really understand that.
Yes.
Because it
But-
was not biblical.
No. But after you start giving,
Yes.
you realize that you start receiving way more. And I'm not talking about giving away to be abused.
Yeah.
the takers are quite a lot.
Yeah.
But once you start giving in a meaningful way, right? It starts to come back to you.
You see the principle evident in, all of this, Oprah, whoever they are. If all of these people, when they reach a certain stage, they make sure to have several charities.
That's right.
Yes.
Giving,
That's right.
giving back. Wow.
It's very interesting on that part, especially with tithing and so forth, because again, I know it's in the Old Testament. I think it's Leviticus, if my thing's correct. If I'm wrong, I do apologize out there. But I feel like the whole idea of it is to build gratitude.
Yes.
When you give, you end up appreciating a lot of what you have. And I think there's not to go into some sort of odd science into it, but I think it becomes the cycle of life. When you give, you receive a lot more.
Yes.
There is no shock that, again, wealthier people give a lot more. Now, we're not here to talk about that. We're talking about saving.
Yes.
But it's important to understand. And to your point, I wanted to touch base with the whole 10% and the reason why you've got 10% for giving away, 10% for paying yourself, and another 10%. I strongly believe, and I would recommend everyone out there, when it comes to saving, you need to have minimum 2 months worth of your expenses saved up. Once you start with that, you'll be amazed what kind of mindset you develop when you've got money in the bank. When you've got money just sitting there, that if things get very difficult, I've got that money to tap in. We all have families that go through dire straits. When you've got that savings amount, 2 months minimum. I would usually advocate for 3 to 6 months, because it means if you lose your job, if something happens to you, if there's an emergency, you're not scrambling to go to the bank to get a loan. You've got the money sat there. You have that's your 10%. The other 10%, then you're saving for long-term goals. for 5 years' time, for buying that property. If you have these things in place, and you have to be intentional about it, this doesn't just happen. Hence why we talk about the why and the mindset. Once you have this in place, you'll be amazed at how better your life is and how you have a spring in your step every day.
As we say, there's a guy, Brother Murphy, who lives with you and don't have these things, right?
So the person is 55 and didn't start. They're just hearing this. It makes sense to them. Does it make sense that they start?
Yes, it's never too late. It's better late than never.
100%.
Right? Better late than never. Because if you're 55, if you have progressed well professionally, it means that your income should be at a certain level.
Yes.
And therefore you should start putting something away. Now the 70-10-10-10 is a benchmark.
Yeah.
As you progress,
You probably can do 60, 20, 10, 10.
it's probably 40. Think of the millionaires. It's like 10% expenses, and the rest goes for straight investment, right?
But as you've said previously, this comes with adjusting the mindset, because you also gave a statistic that said even persons earning $250,000 a month were also living paycheck to paycheck. So someone is thinking, I'm only making $2,500, but you're in the exact same position as someone making $250,000. And so adjusting the mindset at whatever level you are to start the process, get into the saving, giving, showing gratitude. And just to connect with that really, really quickly, the ability to show that gratitude even when you only have a little bit says that even for a moment you can take your eye off your own challenges, off self, and look externally. And that externally also helps you to see additional opportunities that in and of themselves may translate into you being able to grow more wealth. So it's not magic.
Right.
Exactly.
It's just being able to take your eyes off yourself for a little bit so that you can see opportunities that may be staring you right in the face.
Because usually you're always better off than somebody else. Almost. And that's where the gratitude comes.
Yes.
Because when you start to appreciate what you have compared to what the person has, then you can start helping.
Yes.
Because that person who's making $250,000 a month and living paycheck to paycheck, they're still stuck in, oh no, I need more.
Yes. They'll consider themselves broke.
Yeah.
I'm broke.
Question.
Yes.
So here's a person now who gives his heart away. Right? And so when it comes to the paycheck end of the month, he knows what his or she knows what her utilities are, her expenses are. But then she has an aunt who really in a desperate position, and a cousin is really in a desperate position, and another aunt, and a father, and somebody on the road. Where do they draw the line to say, I can't touch it? That's not my money.
Okay.
And before you answer, because this is a real challenge, especially in our culture, because many of us, as we're growing, our parents will say, you're my investment, and so it feels wrong to say no in those situations, or people go, because you step up in a life, you forget where you're coming from. So all these things are real challenges that people are going through. No, how do you answer them?
All right. Well, it's in fact I probably should do a talk on that because it is so pervasive, particularly among Caribbean persons or persons of color who move to other countries.
Yes.
Right? Where everybody expects you to support them. Now, the 70-10-10 is there for a reason. It gives you limits, right? Now, if I have 3 kids and a sick aunt and a sick parent, and where does it all go? I have to think about a holistic view about the future. Am I going to give my kids' future away? Or am I going to perhaps find a way where I can rally the rest of my relatives to pull this all together? But when you set your limits and you're intentional, then it gives you the opportunity to say, no, I can't do this. I can help you, but I can only give you X, right?
Or not this time.
Or not this time. You can't help the world. Put your mask on first, people. Remember that. Put your mask on, and then you can help everybody. If you continue to give away your future, what is going to happen is that everybody's going to end up poor. So you're going to be right back where you were, or right back where they are, and then you're going to become desperate ones sooner or later. So do it intentionally. Know what you're doing, set your limits, and then do it. You can't, look, we have to. What I do, you encourage everybody around you to do their own 70, 10, 10, 10, 10, right? Because if they do that, then the burden will be less for you. You can't be responsible for everybody else's financial goals.
Fair. But this also powerfully comes back to the why that Julian mentioned. So when you're saying the no, you're not saying no because I don't have it or because I mean. You're saying no because, like you said, put your mask on first.
Yeah.
If you don't say no, you don't get to the place where you've built up some savings, built up some reserves.
You can't say yes tomorrow.
So you can't say yes to more because you can't grow your wealth to do more.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
So if you're listening and you've been having a challenge saying no, understand that the no is not just a no, it's a I can't say no because I need to invest in my future so I can say a bigger yes tomorrow.
I had that problem. I had that problem when I just came here.
Yeah.
When I just came to Cayman.
We all do.
I felt so good sending back all of this money because it meant it was so much when I sent it back.
Exactly.
Right?
And then you're a hero as well. I mean, I know people can't see me, but I'm African descent. I know I sound like this, so just capturing that now from Zimbabwe. And it's very similar. I completely understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
You know, you earn money, you start becoming, you work somewhere else. Everyone thinks you're
the big man.
You're the big man. Unlimited wealth. And even if you're from here, even if, you know, you don't have to have lived in a different country, even if you're here and you're a big boss or you're the one earning, you're the biggest breadwinner, it's very challenging when people come up to you and ask for money because you feel like you can't say no. As Linval said with the whole put your mask on first, is a reference to aeroplanes, you know, when you're on a plane, they say, before you put the mask on your child, put it on yourself first. You can't save people until you save yourself. You can't help people until you help yourself. Hence why I advocate for the savings. If you've got 3 months worth of savings, then maybe you can help other people there. But if you don't have that, you have to be in a position to say, listen, my future, my children's future, my family's future is first. And ladies and gentlemen, speaking from experience, I've been in a situation where, you know, you've helped other people first. When it comes to helping you, it doesn't happen. And then you end up, you know, being in a tight spot. So you don't want to put yourself in that position.
Because when you're in that tight spot, the persons who are now looking to you for help, they can't be helped.
Exactly.
Because now the tree is dead.
And they can't have either.
So you all die.
Exactly.
Well, I think now that was from a financial perspective. For those who already, like me, who's a Christian, who have my last 10% earmarked as tithe, right? And that is what you would use to help others from a financial standpoint. It means that I would have to do a 60, 10, 10, 10.
Perhaps.
To find another 10.
But the 70, 10, 10, 10 is actually conceptual.
Yes.
It's more so conceptual. Essentially what it says is that you can't live for yourself, you have to give back something. You have to make some kind of sacrifice somewhere else, right? So from the biblical perspective, it's the tithe. But, so for example, personally, my 10%, my parents and my children or my family are not in my 10%.
Okay.
They are part of my expense.
Got you.
Right?
Yes.
It is the things outside that
Yes.
I consider to be the 10%.
Got you.
Makes sense. That makes sense. I got that. I got that from.
So you have the external, and then if you know that your sister is gonna need money every month,
Yeah.
you don't put that in the
If you
10%.
decide to support your sister,
Yes.
right.
That becomes an expense now that you must now
Yes.
work out. How do I fund that expense?
yes.
Because that is a consistent
Yeah,
expense.
it must be a part of your regular expenses.
Got you.
Right? And that's
That
it.
is your offering.
Your 10%, your offering, your tithe should never be touched.
Yes.
There we go.
The
There we go.
10% is the tithe, and the rest is the offering. Whatever you need to do, if you want to carve it out or something
Can I
else.
ask a question?
Go ahead.
What do you think makes it difficult for people to save? I mean, I know we're not getting any calls, so if you're out there, please chime in.
All right.
What do you think is the reason why people struggle
me
to
answer that.
save anything?
Okay.
Let's start with saving.
No. Well, let's start with the whole picture. Let me tell you how I got into this space. Right?
Yeah.
I'm a career banker, right? And I've looked I've seen all kinds of customers. I've seen rich customers, poor customers, high income customers. There's a client I have, and believe it, it's Cayman Islands. This client earns $50,000 per month. She has no money at the end of the month.
So not year. So
Per month, to get it clear. With bonuses of over $200,000 as well. She's always broke. Right?
And so if you're earning the $1,000 and you're not living with your parents, you still have to find rent over it, and you're struggling. Understand that your struggle is not just the amount of money.
Right. But to get to your question, and so that's how I got here. I'm like, why is it that people know? In fact, if I ask you, if we do a poll and I ask, what do you do if you want to save? If you want to be rich, everybody tells you save more and spend less. Everybody tells you that, but nobody does it, right? And I really thought about that for a very long time, and I came up with what I call the Kisses Principle. In fact, I'm writing about it now, right? It's a book I'm going to publish this year.
Excited about that.
Yeah.
I am super excited about this book, ladies and gentlemen. You need to get it.
What the Kisses Principle is, it's like the princess and the frog. That's where I took it from. You have to kiss your goal, right? So even when your why is something that you hate, you still have to kiss. Because the princess kissing that frog meant that she had to do something which was repulsive, but she still did it. And so here's what the Kisses Principle means. K is for knowledge. Why we don't do it? Sometimes we don't.
You don't
we
know.
We want to do it, we don't know how to do it. We don't have the knowledge, right? The I is for intent, your why. Why am I doing this, right? K-I-S. Second S is for skill. Now, skill is different from knowledge, and I'll tell you how they are different. I know how to bake a cake, or I know theoretically how to bake a cake. You're not going to eat my cake if I bake it, right? That requires skills to bake the cake.
Gotcha.
I have the knowledge to bake the cake, but I have the skills to bake it, right? Second S is sacrifice, and I think this is the one that everybody misses. You have to sacrifice something to get what you want. Opportunity cost, if you're an economist or whatever. You have to give up something.
Choose your heart.
Yeah, choose your heart. You have to give up something of value for something of greater value. And that's where that comes in.
And I imagine this young man that you mentioned, he's 9. He's probably persons see the money and go, hey, why don't you go to Disney World, or why don't you buy a car, or why don't you do all of these things that are attractive?
Why don't you buy a game? You know?
Why don't you buy a game?
Yeah.
Right? So you have all of these things that are competing for the money that you're saving, including maybe mommy going, hey, maybe I need an extra loan, or auntie saying, hey, lend, right? All of these things are happening, and you now have to develop the discipline to say, okay, fine, it is hard to say no, but it's harder to be broke.
It doesn't fit into my long-term goals. I'm sorry.
Yes. And you have to be that ruthless, unfortunately. You have to be,
Right.
you know.
So you see, I've gone kisses. The E now is execute. What happens is that we have the knowledge, we have the skills, and then we don't do it. You have to execute it. And after you start executing it, then you have to sustain it. Right? Warren Buffett is the greatest investor of all time, and in fact, I think he's the smartest investor of all time. But anyway, that's a whole different story. And he has done it consistently over time, and he has just built the wealth. And it's all through consistency. So he's the model of consistency, and that's the kind of, and yet, he's 95 today, I think, right?
Oh, wow.
And he has been saving since...
He was 16, I think.
Yes. It was something
very
like that.
early.
Yes.
Right. And he has just built and built and built on that. And so that's a kind of consistency. You have to sustain it for a long time. Nothing happens overnight. And so if you can apply this Kisses Principle, it will get you there every time.
And interestingly enough, we've connected it to money, but even as you're talking, the same thing gets applied to weight loss. Everyone wants to lose weight, but we're still eating ice cream and Doritos and watching TV till, so it's learning to discipline yourself and having the consistency over time to keep doing the same thing, having the intent, making the sacrifice consistently so that you can get there. Because I imagine he's 94 and even now he's still applying the same principles. He's not finding some new principles. It's still the basics that he's running, which is what you're both talking about today, making sure that we're managing the basics. So with that said, what would you say to someone who's listening now? What advice would you give to someone who's overwhelmed by all this financial stress and doesn't know where to start? Give me an easy button.
Easy button. In fact, easy button is probably the next step. Establish automated savings.
Yes. 100%.
and don't touch it.
Don't touch it, right?
And just establish automated saving. And when I say don't touch it, obviously you're not going to put 50% of your salary if you find a number that you can live with, and then increase that number very gradually each month down the line. And that's how you do it. It's as simple as that. Establish your automated savings. Put it in another bank, maybe. Don't take online or debit cards or anything on that. Just keep it there. And let it accumulate.
Okay. So you're a banker. How can you help me to do that? And then, I mean, how do you help me now to funnel that? Because maybe I start seeing the savings grow, and then I don't get to Julian because I take the money and go. So give me the automation that you can help me with, and then you can help me with
I think this is when you pass it on to me.
The first concept is that we don't save so we can spend it. We save so we can invest it. That's the first thing, right? But here's how you do it too. Save from what we call source. Because if you don't see the money in your account, you tend not to spend it. Once it's in your account, you tend to spend it.
Yes.
So if you can get your payroll manager to move those funds before you get it, that's half your problem.
Got you.
And the next thing now is that you're going to discipline yourself not to touch it, right? Because that's perhaps not your emergency fund. Your emergency fund is still something different, which is a whole different discussion as well.
Fair enough. And what I'm doing right now is shifting gears because we have about 4 minutes left. I'm shifting gears to give us some hand holding. How can you, Linval, help me? How can you, Julian, help someone who's listening?
All right. So I'll help you to build your savings from zero. And I can, in fact, have a course coming up very soon where, because I find this gap, it will take you from zero to consistent saving in 4 months. That course will be launched very soon, so that will be out on the internet and so on. And once you have started saving to invest, then I hand you over to Julian.
Okay. All right.
Certainly.
And then how do you help us now? How can they reach out to you? How can they contact you? Because we're going to come back to you telling them where do they find you.
Well, exactly. I mean, the two are slightly interlinked, but I mainly specialize on the investing side of things. Now, I do what I call holistic financial advisory services, which means, unfortunately, or I say fortunately for you, I'm not just going to say, well, here's an investment that you can save. So you want your savings, you want your expenses aside, then we can start talking about the really exciting stuff, right? Saving for those big ticket items you want in your life. You know, saving for that property, for your children, for your retirement. And for as little as like $300 every month, I will sit down with you and, like I said, find out where you are today, where you want to go, and help you develop that map to get you where you are, right? Now, like I said, I am going to hold your hand through it, and Linval will tell you, with other people I've worked with, I will sit down with you, and I'm very strict about this, that Linval is laughing because he knows, every 3 months, I'll be reaching out to you and say, listen, let's sit down and look at your finances. If you think of yourself as a company, you know, there's always an audit or a budget every quarter. Why would you not do that with your own finances? You know, so, and I call it a review of your finances. You can see things, life changes. Do you want to change your goals? How do you want to change your goals? So, you know, because you've invited me for this, I am offering a free financial consultation or financial planning meeting. You can get me on my website. I'm sure it will be joined in, but it's www.Julian with an A, Phiri or Phiri. So it's JulianPhiri.com. If you go there, contact me. You will have a link to be able to schedule a free consultation with me, and I'll be happy to speak to you. Usually it takes about 20 to 40 minutes, depending on how long you want to discuss your life and your plans. And yeah, let's get you on that road to saving and investing.
All right.
Okay.
So you give your website. Where do they find you, Linval?
Oh, you can find me at reimaginefinances.com.
Reimaginefinances.com.
Yes.
And you mentioned the course. So they can find the course there too, or do they need to call you? How does someone access the course?
It's not ready as that, based on what I heard. The course is not ready as that.
No, the course is...
It's ready.
The course is now scheduled. It starts next month. No,
okay.
We're in September.
It
It starts this month.
I was just going to say.
It starts the third week of this month.
Okay.
It's every Tuesday. And what that course is designed to help persons with income who just don't know how to even start saving. Because, like I said, there are lots of persons with decent income, but they're not saving, and they struggle to do this. So we're going to show them the tips and tools and strategies and we'll hand hold you through that process and make sure that you develop the right habits and the right mindset and take you through that path.
Awesome, incredible. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And one of the big takeaways here is that it doesn't matter where you are, whether you have 100,000, 250,000, or you're just working with $250. Sometimes having that accountability partner, someone to just help you, someone to give you the guidance. That young guy who's 9, he had someone to teach him how to manage money at that early age. Some of us maybe at 55 and we haven't learned it yet, but there are tools out there that you can access. Check out Reimagine Finance and check out Julian Phiri. .com and YouTube, and feel free to stop by our website. The links will be in the description. We'll drop them in later so that you too can get the access that you need. This has been The Wrecking Trade. I'm Robert Lynch. Until next time.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.